Imagine a philosopher who believed that conflict is not a problem, it is progress. That truth unfolds like a grand drama with every contradiction pushing the story of reality forward. That was George William Frederick Hegel, the mind behind one of the most complex and fascinating systems of thought in Western philosophy. Born in Germany in the late 18th century, Hegel saw history, society, and even our own minds as constantly evolving through a deep inner logic. He believed that every idea contains its own opposite, and through the tension between the two, a richer, higher truth emerges. Hegel didn't just want to understand the world, he wanted to show how the world understands itself over time. Let's understand Hegel's theories. Hegel believed that reality unfolds like a grand dialogue, a constant back and forth that leads to growth. He called this movement the dialectic. At its heart is a three-step process called thesis, antithesis, and synthesis. What is this process? It's a way to describe how ideas and history evolve by conflict and resolution. We can think of it like a three-act play. The Act 1 is the thesis, which is a starting point. It is an idea, a state, or a worldview. This is the status quo, the way things are. But every idea contains inner tensions. For example, a ruler should have absolute power so that the society stays stable. This is your thesis. It believes that control brings order. Act 2 will be the antithesis, which is the opposite of thesis. It emerges to challenge the flaws or limits in the thesis. This introduces conflict, often due to internal contradictions or new conditions. For example, no ruler should have absolute power, people should be free. This is the antithesis, which is reacting against tyranny. And Act 3 will be the synthesis, a new idea that reconciles the two opposites. It keeps the best of both and transcends their conflict. This becomes a higher level of understanding, a richer truth. For example, power should be limited and accountable, and laws should protect freedom and ensure order. This is the synthesis, a balance of control and liberty. This is a spiral, not a circle. After synthesis, the process starts again. The synthesis becomes a new thesis, and the cycle repeats on a higher level. And this is how society progresses. It is not going in circles, but spiraling upwards towards more freedom, more self awareness, and reason. What are some real life examples of this? For example, the political evolution. Monarchy was the thesis. Revolution against monarchy or democracy was the antithesis, and both of them were synthesized into constitutional democracy. In your personal life, a thesis can be that I follow my parents' beliefs. Antithesis is I reject everything they teach. And synthesis can be that I find my own path, keeping what feels true. For Hegel, this process was not just about ideas, it was about how reality itself unfolds. The universe is like a mind slowly becoming aware of itself through conflict and growth. So, in his view, every conflict has a purpose. Opposites are not enemies, they are necessary parts of a higher unity. And truth is never final, but it keeps evolving. According to Hegel, the basic philosophy of the world is idealism. Unlike materialists who think that only the matter is real, Hegel believed that mind or spirit is the ultimate reality. This doesn't mean that we are all floating thoughts. Instead, it means that the world is meaningful and structured in a way that's deeply tied to thought. So the universe is not just physical stuff, it is self unfolding idea, a kind of cosmic consciousness discovering itself through humans, history, and time. He calls this great unfolding truth the absolute. History is the self discovery of spirit. Hegel saw human history as spirit or God or mind gradually becoming self aware. In early tribes, spirit is still in shadows. In empires, some order appears but freedom is missing. And in modern democracies, spirit begins to realize freedom, reason, and self consciousness. So, your daily life Your doubts, choices, relationships aren't meaningless. They are part of a grand, meaningful journey where the universe is waking up to itself through you. In short, Hegel's approach was dialectic, the conflict between ideas, thesis versus antithesis, which leads to better understanding or synthesis. Another ideology was idealism, that reality is shaped by consciousness or spirit and not just matter. And the third is history, a process of growth as spirit becomes more self aware through humans. Some people loved Hegel, like Marx, who used Hegel's method but flipped it to focus on material conditions, and others found him very confusing. But nearly every major thinker after Hegel had to deal with him. Thank you so much for listening.